day, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Business Brunch. We have gone to kind of half an hour rather than the full 45 minutes because we want to give you continuous professional development in bite-sized snippets over lunch. So I hope you've got your lunch, your brunch, your breakfast ready and a cup of coffee. I've forgotten, but I'm being healthy. I'm setting goals. I'm drinking water, but you see I've not touched it yet. Yes.
It only works if you drink it.
Yeah, I know, and it's going to sit there getting dusty all day. But so today is all about goal setting. So we're kind of winding down to the end of the year, but what better time to look ahead? Well, we talked about reviewing, didn't we? The other week we talked about looking back. Are we where we wanted to? Are we where we wanted to be? But looking forward, what do we want that to look like? And so, Sarah, we're going to introduce ourselves in a minute. Sarah, our executive coach, is going to talk to us today about why it's important to set goals. Should we set goals? If it's important, how to do it. So that's what today is going to be about. But let us introduce ourselves. Oh, you introduce yourselves too, please. You're not on your own. We're going live on 13 different channels. So whatever channel you are in, whoever's feed you are in, whether it's in mine, Sarah's or Melinda's, please do say hello. Tell us where you are and we'll say hello to you. And whilst you're doing that, please, we're going to introduce ourselves. So I'm a marketer. I step in to make you stand out. That's it, really. That's what I do. Sarah, who are you and what do you do?
You do it very well as well. I'm an executive coach and I work with senior leaders and C-suite executives, helping them develop mindset and the skills that help them stand out. Not step in to say, oh, I step in to stand there. Anyway, to help them achieve their goals. Well, not just achieve them, but smash their goals. Over to you, Melinda.
Hello, everybody. My name is Melinda Ward. I am the Director of Consulting Solutions and Managed Services for Helm 360. My area of speciality for these conversations is around consulting, business transformation, management type things, and just general silliness as well.
General silliness. Oh, because one of Sarah's friends said that Melinda seemed really, really, really intelligent and a bit intimidating, but she can be very silly.
Not intentionally. I mean, the intimidating bit. I do try to be. I try to be intelligent, but intimidating.
Right. So this week's topic is all about goal setting, and I sat down yesterday because I didn't have Alistair with me this week, and I sat down, large cup of coffee, nice seat, all comfy, seat by the window, pads, pens, diary. Okay, what is a successful 2023 going to look like? But also, what does a successful December look like to get me ready for that? So that's what I started with, and I got distracted as always. So, Sarah, help us. Why should we set goals?
Well, for the very reason that we do get distracted, don't we? So first of all, we've got to stay undistracted for long enough. Before I go into this, should we just say a quick hello to
to Kimberly, who's rejoined us from Pittsburgh. Lovely to see you again, Kimberly. We've got Paul Martin, who is saying good afternoon. Sorry, can't read properly. Definitely need to change the contact lenses.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
And finally, Danny Wareham. Hi, Danny. And he makes people think differently about pizzas and bean bags.
Well done, Danny. And I've never thought.
Way to introduce intrigue. And I'm guessing you've got to check out his LinkedIn feed for more details on that.
Danny is all about incorporating healthy company cultures, isn't he? And so he helps companies to do that. So rather than giving free pizzas on a Friday and putting bean bags in the staff room, I think he wants to do something that's a bit more meaningful and effective. So I think that's where Danny comes from. But I like that. Think differently about pizzas and bean bags. Very good. Can we have a slide still? Can we still have a slide?
Yeah, absolutely. Still want a slide. So this should be right up Danny's street anyway, because this is all about, one of the parts of creating a culture is having a group of people that are going towards the same goal. But it isn't just about the organizational goal, it's about our own personal goals too. And when those two align and you can do the two together, my God, is that powerful. But I'll come to that at the end. But let's just say this: failing to plan is planning to fail. I can't remember the first time I heard someone say that to me. I think I was probably about 23, and I just thought, oh,
Yeah.
surely you could just wing it through life, can't you? And I did plenty of years of winging it through life. And then as you start to get a bit older, and I'm sure for much younger people as well, who are more have got a direction they want to go in, you can start to feel very, very unfulfilled, dissatisfied. It slows you down, and you don't even know why you feel like that. We were talking about that on off air just before we came on. Is you can feel a bit meh, and you don't know why. And when we don't have a plan and we don't know what we want to be when we grow up, we can make interesting decisions that may not serve us and may slow us down and take us down a different path. And what I find is when I work with people and they create a clear vision of where they want to be when they grow up, and I don't care how old you are, I say that to everybody. My dad's still reinventing himself, age 79, running a business which started 4 years ago. It's not about age, it's about what's going on in here. What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be doing? Where do you want to be doing it? Who do you want to be doing it with? How much do you want to be earning? Where do you want to be living? All this sort of stuff. When you start asking these questions, you start to help people elicit what it is they really want in life.
Yeah, I like that. Just the whole kind of, it's not that. So I like the thing about being meh, and that made me think kind of same shit another day.
Yeah.
So there's that, isn't there? It's like where you're not progressing, but also that second thought that not only are you not progressing, if you've not got that goal and that vision of where you want to be, not only are you not going towards that, so you're not making decisions that lead you that way, but you don't have to be static either. If you don't know where you're going, you might end up going all the wrong way that takes you away from where you could be or where you want to be, or that would completely serve you. So already.
And if you think about as well, a lot of people, and I've done this myself over the years periodically, you get into what I would call like career inertia and life inertia. You get into a comfortable place, and comfortable can still be where it's just okay. You are getting by. Maybe you're too busy, you feel, to stick your head above the parapet and look for another role or another opportunity, whether it's within the same organization or outside. So you just carry on, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. But years roll by and you're still doing the same thing. Is that what you want to do truly? Or are you just delaying the inevitable? And we've got a couple more people have jumped in. Maria Kane has said, hello, everyone. She's empowering women to create space in Cork.
Cool.
Awesome. And Kimberly is agreeing that we have to know our purpose.
Yeah.
So,
and we've got Simon Sinek, the why, the power of why. He talks about it from a business perspective, but actually, why are we any different as human beings? When we know what our purpose is, when we know what the legacy is that we want to leave behind, even in some shape or form, it helps us drive our decision making and our choices. It really helps people when they're looking for jobs. So many people go to a job and then afterwards go, oh, I wish I hadn't taken that. Why did you? Well, I was desperate. Because why were you desperate? Well, I just needed to make money. But what are you trying to achieve? No idea. See, if you'd known what you were trying to achieve, you'd have been making different choices all the way up to that choice you just made in taking the job.
And finding a better job, as like a more suitable job, not necessarily better or worse, but a more
suitable, more right for you, that is going to make you happy, that doesn't make you feel like you've taken a step back or a sidestep. You'd have taken it for the right reason. And so I put on my post this morning about 80% of people feeling dissatisfied with life, not feeling like they're living the dream. And that comes from some work that I've done around imposter syndrome and asking people to fill in this "Have I got imposter syndrome" scorecard. And out of the 250 people that have responded to that so far, 80% of people answered they weren't living the dream. They were dissatisfied. And that that's massive. That's a huge amount of people. All right, that may be because they have imposter syndrome, but not all of them did. So I think the point is we need to know where we're going. So why don't we do it? What stops us from doing this for ourselves? And anybody that's listening in, do tell me, have you done this? And if you haven't, what stops you? There are some major factors that stop people doing it. Fear of actually looking forward and identifying what it is you want that you don't have right now. Because then you'd have to admit to yourself that you are either going to accept that or do nothing about it. And neither one of those is terribly satisfactory. So we tend to avoid looking for problems, which would mean change, which would mean growth, which would mean doing something different. Sometimes we're just really unsure of what it is we want to do, and we don't know how to figure that out. I'll come back to that in a second. And sometimes we just can't be bothered. Most people that can't be bothered, it's more to do with the first two.
I think overwhelm and burnout feeds into that, because if everybody is now, over the last few years, a lot of companies have reduced staff, and people who have remained in full-time employment have had to take on more and more work to cover for the work that's not being done. So lots of folks are really burnt out, but they also might feel like, oh, but I'm kind of trapped. Yeah. What do I do?
There is fear of rocking.
Should I set goals because I'm stuck where I am? And that's the tricky box to break out of, really. But I think, Sarah, you've got some really good ideas for getting people to think broader.
So when people are stuck, one of my favorite questions is to ask people is what do you want to be when you grow up? Really, what would you be doing? If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? Because most of the time people don't go, oh no, I'd be doing just this for the rest of my life. Most people don't say that. Most people, especially if they're working with a coach, are forward focused. They want to do more, get more, be more, and do it better and faster. That's the whole point. So it's not surprising people aren't saying to me, oh no, I'm really satisfied. Otherwise, why would they be coming to see me? So what I ask people to do is to just go wild, to put away that, but don't think like that. That can't be possible mindset. Shut that up and just go wild. What do you want to be? If you could do anything, if there was nothing getting in your way, if money wasn't an object, if nothing was blocking you, what would you really, really do?
And that's the key, isn't it? Because we have, as we've spoken about before, so many self-limiting beliefs and boundaries and these stories that we tell ourselves. So I think you're right. I think just kind of throw away all of that.
Yeah.
If there were no boundaries, no limitations, what would you do? What could you do?
And I think a lot of people might stop at that point, though, and think, I don't know. It's a big blank sheet of paper. I don't know where to start. So I think if there's some ways to kind of start to formulate that initially and not just jump straight to this is what I want to do, maybe that would help.
You're right. It can be really difficult and people can get stuck. So we look at where are you now? What do you like about where you are now? What do you love about it? What do you enjoy? What would you change? And what is missing? It's a kind of a classic sales discovery piece, isn't it? It's like, what do you want to buy? Well, why aren't you buying that right now? But what is it you really need? So what's in there that's missing that you really need? Prioritize that stuff. How would you get that if you weren't doing what you're doing today? What would you be doing differently? Most of us have had an idea, and it's amazing when you have this conversation with people, is they're like, do you know what I'd really be doing? I would be basket weaving in Nairobi or something. Honestly, the things that people come up with is unreal. And you're like, well, why aren't you doing that? Well, because, and then all the excuses come out. So I think we've all thought about what we could do, or we're just blocking ourselves from thinking about that and just giving ourselves the freedom to think about, what do I do? What do I love? What am I missing? What makes me dissatisfied or feel a bit meh? And if you don't know, ask someone, chat with a friend, get a mentor, speak to a coach, do something. Because if you're feeling dissatisfied, you only have one life and you never know when that's going to end. Sorry, that's morbid, but we don't know when it's going to end. So do you want to leave the legacy of, oh, I left dissatisfied because I didn't really think it through? Or do you want to go, actually, no, let's find out. In the last 3 years, we've seen life can change like that. So, get thinking about it, but think about what you want your friends to say about you. How would you like to describe yourself? What would you be saying about yourself when you've got this thing? What would you be proud of? What would make you really proud? Where would you like to live it?
Sometimes just like some keyword exercises can be kind of cool there to get you started. Because if you think about that idea of like, oh, who do you think, oh, they've got a great life, I'd like to be more like that. What are those keywords that you think are making that thought in your mind? Because obviously everybody's got their own behind the scenes views, right? We all know that the internet vision of, even the most successful people in the world is a facade, right?
Yeah.
But what is it that is sparking interest in that path? What is it that, you look at that and you think, oh, that could be kind of cool. Don't know if I could, but aspects of that are cool. And then start building that out. Well, we've got a few.
Just before you go to this, I'm just going to add to that is that when you do this bit of work and you start to write this down and the vision of the future, it's always an iteration of, it never happens in the first round of doing this. You go back to it, you question it, and you work on it, and it grows and it grows and it grows. And actually, I've just done this with a group of ladies I've been working with for a year in a small group. And we were working on the vision. And actually today we went back to it and said, well, what does it look like? And the clarity after a year of working on themselves of what that vision is was so much more clear. It may not have been perfect just yet, but it was clear, far clearer than it was 9-10 months ago when we started on it. So give yourself time, start putting it out there. What we also find is when we start putting the ideas out there, guess what? We start to attract what it is we're really looking for coming in. It just happens. It's magic. I don't care how it happens, but once you start knowing what you're looking for, things appear.
Well, it's kind of like if you notice something, like if you notice like a red shirt and you think, oh, I really like that red shirt, then you see red shirts everywhere. It's that kind of thing where sometimes you might think, oh, there's no opportunities for me out there. Well, have you looked?
Well, also that mindset, you're already telling yourself this. So remember, our mind takes us to where we want to be. If you're telling yourself no, it'll take you to a no. If you're telling yourself I like a red shirt, guess what? The next thing we look at on the internet will have a red shirt on it, and we'll all want to buy it.
Well, some of that's algorithms, obviously.
Well, I know. But there's also something called the reticular activating system, which is we notice what we're looking for.
Yes.
We start to move towards what we're looking for. If you suddenly decide you want to buy a different car, you've never seen one before, and all of a sudden they're there. The yellow Nova. I don't know why I've gone for a yellow Nova. God, I'm old. But that was the first car my first boyfriend had. But anyway, the yellow Nova, all of a sudden there's a yellow Nova. I bet you somewhere in the world today will see a yellow Nova. Do they even exist? I don't know. But they used to. So, you do start to see what it is your mind is thinking about. So sorry, pop over to comments, Melinda.
Yeah, so we had an interesting one from Paul saying, this always reminds me of Alice talking to the Cheshire Cat.
I don't remember that bit, but I need to watch that again.
Alice in Wonderland, but I don't know the reference, sorry.
Thomas Murphy is saying hello.
Hey Thomas, thanks for joining us.
Kimberly is referencing self-examination. Who am I? Kimberly is self-referencing herself as a teacher and a watchman on the wall, which that kind of reminds me of I saw a snippet of some cable television program about the Watchmen, and it was a bit creepy. So not sure where that was going, but hopefully not there. Thomas has said he started freelancing, closing my own jobs, and having more time to spend with his family. Well done, you.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
This is from Alice in Wonderland. Alice saying to the Cheshire Cat, would you tell me, please, which way ought to I go from here? And the Cheshire Cat responds, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to. Alice says, I don't much care where. And the Cheshire Cat replies, then it doesn't matter which way you go. Awesome. Precisely.
Yeah. The amount of organizations that I work with, when I say to them, what is your vision of the future? Which way should I go? Where are you going?
Yeah, it's Danny's summarizing goals.
Helping.
I think they were both like in parallel writing at the same time.
Thank you for that. But it's absolutely brilliant. And I might actually nick that one, Paul, because I talk to so many organizations and I say, right, what's your plan for next year? What's your plan for the next 5 years? They're like, we just want to be number one. Woo, inspiring.
Make profit.
Yeah, make profit. That's not a vision. That's part, that's a strategy, or part of the results of the strategy you're going to put in. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a result. It's not even a strategy.
Yeah, it's not even a strategy. Yes, it's just a result of the strategy that you put in. So what are we going to do then? We need to think about, what would you be doing? Why would you be doing that? I think that's a really important one. Why does that matter to you? What would be the impact of doing this thing, this vision? How's it going to make you feel? How does it impact other people? What is stopping you really right now? Listen to all the excuses you put out there and recognize them for what they are. They might be truth. Maybe you have no money, maybe you can't move, but actually maybe that's just now. But what could you be doing to start getting
there?
Yeah.
How could you
list all the blocks, list all the reasons why not, and look at them as objections that you could overcome. Not you have to, but you could overcome if you wanted to. Everything has a way around it. Even if you don't end up with exactly that vision of your life that you expected, it could be close. It could be close enough to it, the closest you've ever been. And
it's kind of like when you're talking to a friend, and your friend's like, oh, I'd really love to be able to do X. And you start saying, well, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? People can do it for other people, but they struggle to do it for themselves. So that's where Sarah's idea of talking to friends sometimes, even like over, a cheeky adult beverage or something, can really be beneficial to just have that chat and say, if I told you I wanted to do this, what would your advice be? And then you might get a lot of really inspiring ideas.
Sometimes all we want is someone to say to us, you could do that.
Yeah.
We love a bit of support from it, and that's really normal. Yes, I'm always going to say to people, you should get that from within, but actually a bit of affirmation from outside that, yes, Vanessa, you could be X. That might be good for Vanessa on that day. And we need a bit of that. So have your support network around you, but start to think about, even if you can't get to this vision of the future now, I would like to be known as the go-to person in the UK that goes on TV shows and radio shows to talk about imposter syndrome. I'd like to be that person. I've thought that. I'm going to make it happen one day. I'm nowhere near that yet. But how long? I don't know. Maybe it's a year away. I don't know. But the point is, everything I do now is focused on how do I get a bit closer to that. Otherwise, I'd never get there. And I've never been brave enough to say that out loud. But I've done a lot of work on this to go, do you know what? Yes, you could. Yes, you damn well could. And I have, lovely ladies like you going, yeah, actually you could. Go for it. And have people who've got your back. So how can you incorporate what you want to do in what you're doing today? How will that inform your decisions about what you do and don't do, jobs you do and don't take, things you do and don't say, connections you do and don't make, the time you spend on LinkedIn and don't spend on LinkedIn? All these choices you're making impact that vision of the future. And also think about what is the impact on your fulfillment, your feeling of control over your life, and your productivity, if that was linked to what you were doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, and that point about the feeling control over your life, I think that is really, really key for a lot of people at the moment, because for the last 2.5, 3 years, control's been lacking in a lot of areas, or it's been coming from different directions. And a lot of people have gotten into that mindset of, oh, well, what's the point of planning too far into the future, because something could happen that blows it all up anyway. And that is something that, it could be the pandemic, it could be war related, from people who have friends and family in different countries. But that's not, it's a logical mindset, but it's not a helpful mindset to keep you moving forward.
I think
recognize that as a reaction to threat.
I think what we've recognized in these last 2 years, and we might kind of use that to make excuses to stop ourselves moving forward. The other thing is, we've seen such phenomenal change in 2 years. Just imagine if you set a goal now, where you could be in 2 years. The world might change around you, but it might change and actually propel you
Support
further
you, yeah.
and accelerate you in your goals. So, and I like the other thing as well, the idea of the visualization of where you want to go. And we've not talked about this, but about the positivity. You know, when you used to kind of want to lose weight, you'd find that really fat picture of you and you stick it on the fridge. But that was all about punishment, and it's not where you want to go.
No.
So the better thing to do is to get that picture of you when you were looking really hot,
Yeah.
stick that on the fridge, and then you've got a positive visualization of where you could be, and it's more likely to happen, isn't
Well,
it?
we're so hardwired to look for threat and look for the negative that actually it's no surprise people put the fat picture on the fridge and look at that, because it's like, oh, look at you, let's be mean and do horrible things to yourself. It doesn't inspire you. What inspires us actually is our mind is hardwired to look for threats, not for joy. So we're always looking for the threats. So by creating a vision or a plan, even if it's a month plan or a week plan or a 5-year plan, having some plan allows our brain to focus on what could happen. But it's not just having I want to do this, it's what will it give me? How will I feel? And then what you can do is reward yourself when you look back and go, I did that. And I was saying to both of you earlier, I was like, I feel a bit today. I'm not feeling great. I'm not my usual zingy self. And I made myself look back at everything I've achieved this year, because it's been hard work. And it immediately made me feel better. You know, I've done everything that I set out to do. In some
maybe a little more, actually, if you looked at exactly 12 months ago.
Probably more. It's why I'm so tired. Probably more. But without that, how would I look back and applaud myself? I'd just sit here feeling flumpsy all day, wouldn't I? Going, poor me, it's just been a terrible year. I've been so busy. But actually, it's been an incredible year. I may not have achieved some bits, but I've achieved others. But just to bring this to a close, I know we're nearly
summarize.
So you don't have to have a plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. If you do have one, people that have a plan tend to move towards it faster. It does make you feel more fulfilled and more in control, because you start to make decisions based on that plan of what you want your vision to look like. So if you don't do this, give it a whirl. If you're not doing it, it could be a smoke screen because you're scared of what you're missing out on and you don't want to look at that. That's a whole different topic. That's mindset. Go back to other shows we've done on that, or maybe we'll do them again. And really go wild on your picture of the future. So it's big. You can smell it. You can taste it. You can feel it. It excites you. Even if it terrifies you, excitement and being terrified are right next to each other. It's just a different perception of what's going on. And if you are a leader watching this, if you don't know what's driving your employees or yourself to achieve goals, make sure you find out, because when you align the company goal with your team members' personal goals, personal motives, and show them that how achieving the company goal is going to help them achieve that, my God, do you see a difference in productivity and fulfillment? It's incredible. I don't know why people aren't doing that. I just don't get it. Anyway, that's it. Done.
Wow. I would say Kimberly did clarify. The Watchmen wasn't the reference to a popular television show on Netflix or something.
Good.
It's a reference to Jewish stories, history, I should say, for those who see imminent danger and sound the alarm.
I should know this. I mean, I was Jewish. I know I still am, but I don't practice, but I was once. So I should know that. Thanks, Kimberly. But yeah, let us know what you think in the chat, whether you've enjoyed this, what you want next. We're coming up to next year. We're planning for next year. Our goal for next year is to keep providing, in bite-sized chunks over lunch. So tell us what you want.
And my goal is obviously now, since I've had my AI portraits done, I'm going to become a Marvel character.
That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, but I think next week are we carrying on with the theme for the branding? Yes, that we started last week.
Yeah.
And that's going to be for those of you who are really keen on that. We're wishing for a bit more on defining your individual brand and whether it's personal or professional, and even if you're a part of a wider organization, what do you want to be known for within that organization? So we all have that perception of ourselves. or the
It all
perception
fits,
that others
doesn't it?
have
You
of us.
make your goals
I'm
and
not
then you
saying this
tell
well.
people, yeah, what they are. Yeah, good.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. Thank you, ladies. Lovely to see you as ever. And we shall see you all next week.
Yes, thank
See
you,
you next week.
everybody.
Good one.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.